Althea, welcome to Resilient Retail. I am so excited to be sitting down with you today. You have one of my favorite retail stories I've kind of run into this year. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and your brand?
I started out with a whole different career. I've always wanted to have my own business, and I just didn't know what I wanted to do. And so I fell into this entirely by accident, really. I knew I wanted to have an online store. I knew that digital was the future, and that was in 2007. But I didn't know what I wanted to do within that realm. And so I started as a fashion and travel blogger. And on one of my travels with a friend of mine, I was introduced to Korean sheet masks. I suffer from eczema. I also have severe cystic acne. It's plagued me since the age of 19. So I tried these sheet masks when I was on a vacation with my friend in Hawaii, and it like really changed the texture of my skin, especially where the eczema was prominent. And I thought, what is this? And I happened to have already booked a trip to Korea as one of my travel destinations with my two nieces. And we basically, traveled and did research, and it kind of evolved from there, especially when I came back to Canada and realized it's new. I would have to order online directly from Korea or the US, and then you pay the duties. And that's when the idea of starting a Korean skincare business, that's where it was born.
Wow. So then you were selling mostly online. How long were you selling online? And then at what point did you decide, you know what, I think I want to open a retail store?
Yeah, again, by accident, because I was always like, no, digital, that's the future. I don't want to be tied down to a brick and mortar. And I started online in 2017. The business was launched November 2017. It's so funny because I'm realizing, looking back, the customer is basically the focus, of course, but people like to be in contact with something. They like to know who they're dealing with, even if you have an online store. So I ended up having events and doing pop-up shops. And that's when I realized people really like to come in person, ask questions, try the products. And so by accident, it kind of evolved where I realized, that human contact I'm going to need. So that's when I realized, you know what, if a good space comes up, I'll grab at the opportunity.
How did you survive that first lockdown?
Yeah.
What did you start to do?
Well, it was interesting because initially, of course, I was, frightened about what the pandemic would mean, concerned about family and friends and customers. I agreed with shutting everything down for safety of customers, myself, all of that. And so I went home and I started to sort of think about, okay, what am I going to do? Like, how can I adapt to this? And I thought, I have an online store. So I remember speaking to a friend and I thought, I don't know what I'm going to do. I put all this money into the store and now it's shut down. And she goes, no, you got this. You're creative. You've always been creative. That's how you got to where you are now from the time that you started this business. She goes, you've got it. And I thought, yeah, you know what? I'm going to pivot to social media. So I started doing live Insta stories. I made announcements. I started posting products online and letting them know, reminding them that I have an online store. So what happened was I started to slowly get messages from customers. I'm breaking out now that I'm at home. What do I use? I have maskne. This was a new phenomenon that was born out of the pandemic of wearing masks, where you have acne that develops out of prolonged wearing of the mask. So it evolved from answering questions from customers and consulting with them and saying, okay, you need to use this product or that product. So eventually what happened, within a couple of weeks, I was coming to the store every day, filling out orders and delivering them locally myself by car. So I would travel up to 2 hours west, south, north, east, whatever, the 2-hour radius, I would just go and I would deliver every day. And it grew from there. And then I would keep my contact and communication with customers on social media, Instagram, as well as Facebook. And it just evolved from there. And my business exploded. I couldn't believe it. Wow. So I was like, what? What's happening?
Yeah. What kind of, on the Instagram Live, that feels like it was something that kind of, you were able to say, okay, I have all this time now to try something different. So I'm going to pivot to social media. What kind of content were you putting on those lives? What was it that you were actually doing?
That's a great question, because I used to hide a bit from social media, where I would just post products.
Yeah.
And very shy about putting myself out there, you know what I mean? And this forced me to have to communicate with customers and have to put myself out there. And I just saw it as we're all in this together and sort of having conversations, and whatever conversations I had with the customers, I shared with everyone. And so my following would grow from there, and it just became this wonderful community. And so I became more relaxed with that. And I realized that that's what they want. They want to know who's behind the name of the brand, right? And so it just sort of organically grew from there, and getting to know so many wonderful people and sharing the experience of skincare. And a lot of them were grateful, because there were customers who had never really cared about skincare before, but they were spending more time at home. They found the ritual relaxing, as well as men and women of all backgrounds who got into it and had more questions, and then they would refer other people to it. And so it sort of grew from there. So, yeah.
Yeah. What's so amazing about it is it's almost this full circle of your brand story, where you were doing sales online and then you tested out a pop-up and you had this kind of aha moment of, oh, these products in my brand kind of need this face-to-face interaction, need this personal human connection. And that's really what we're seeing. And that's what people especially are looking for, especially now with this pandemic, is we want to shop local. We want to know where our money is going. And then when the pandemic happens, you kind of come back around to that same aha, but it's just a different channel. You're saying, okay, even though I can't be there in person, I still need to do this kind of human back and forth dialogue with my customers. And then just the amazing factor that you started doing it and your following goes up and your sales go up and you see this kind of immediate turnaround of the brand, I think is amazing. How long did you continue doing this local delivery? Because it sounds like you were all day, every day in the car.
Yeah. I mean, basically the first lockdown lasted from March until the 3rd week of June. So I was doing it for that period. So I would basically come into the store Monday to Friday from 11 till 1 o'clock, and I'd be out on the road sometimes till 9 p.m. doing deliveries. I wanted to sort of, I guess, it helped me. It was actually very good because, with all this panic and chaos happening around us, it was like an anchor. And I also wanted to be an anchor for customers, for them to know I'm here every day. I'm not going anywhere. You have access to products, you have access to answers to your questions. And so it was like this, they relied on me. And I wanted to be that anchor for these customers where they didn't have to worry about, is it going to be available? Is it shut down? Where do I go? I'm here and I'm not going anywhere. And I think out of that, that's what helped as well. The reliability that they had. There was something concrete that they could see and have a routine that's there, with all the chaos going around in the background.
So are you still doing that local delivery schedule, or have you kind of let go of some of that?
Yeah, I mean, we reopened in June, and then we were allowed 1 or 2 people in the store. And so I had the whole summer and fall, and then we had another lockdown because of the second wave. So that happened November 21st. So basically what I did is, while the store was open, I would do deliveries after the store was closed. But, the minimum order amount would go up a little bit because during the initial lockdown, the gas prices went down. So it was actually, not expensive to do deliveries. Plus, Canada Post was overwhelmed. So it was out of that necessity that I did so many deliveries, of course. And of course, the stores closed. Once we went into the second wave, it was different. It was more people being able to come here and do curbside pickup. So that kind of took place. And then so it's maybe 15-20% delivery, but 80% curbside pickup, because the online just sort of, went up from there.
Something I think that is really interesting that you did, and I kind of mentioned this, I think everybody has experienced it now. You walk down your downtown and it's almost kind of apocalyptic and it feels scary and it almost adds to the chaos that we're all living in. And something that you kind of have done through both lockdowns is say, I'm closed. My doors are closed. I can't have customers in, but I'm still here. You have your lights on. You have your displays in the window. You are working in the store. Yeah. Why was that so important to you to kind of like keep that physical experience open while still being closed?
Well, it's so interesting that you say that, because during the initial lockdown and driving to the store, at first I was just checking up to make sure everything was okay and cleaning, just having something to do. And it just came to me when I was driving along Queen Street with everything not only shut down, boarded up. And I thought, I'm not going to do that with my store. I'm going to leave the screen up. I'm going to have everyone be able to see in the products. And I felt like if I were to shut the store down, I would shut down ideas, creativity. It would almost be like I don't know. It's kind of like, I believe in the universe, and I believe when you keep everything opened, and you give that kind of vibe out there, then the customers will still come. And so I thought, I'm still opened, even though people can't physically come in, but I want to have the visual of being opened. I just felt it was very important. So I had the sign up on the door saying, we're closed, but we have the online store. These are the options. And social media became my store, where I would talk about new products coming in. I would take pictures of shipments. Like, it was important for me to still continue doing that, where I noticed that other businesses, when they closed down, like literally walked away from it, it was hard when we reopened in June. It was hard for them, where I just wanted to keep it going, because I didn't want this stop, start with the customers. I wanted them to know, no, I'm always here, no matter what.
Yeah, I think that visual it's so powerful. Even just thinking about it as a customer, you walk by, and even though you can't go in, it's still kind of sparking that human experience of like seeing into a store, and it's almost like you're almost shopping, and then you can go online and buy it, and you've still had that kind of visceral experience. I think there's something really powerful and kind of brilliant in that decision that you made. And so now you're in the store, you have the store open, you have curbside pickup. What other channels other than social media? I know that email has been something big for you. How did you start to turn your attention over to email marketing?
Well, I was always doing email marketing before I had the store. But of course, with email marketing, you want to grow the amount of people that subscribe to your newsletter, which is why I did the pop-ups, actually, in order to have more local customers and grow my email marketing for repeat customers. So I realized, I should be pivoting to that, because even when we reopened in June, every time someone comes in and they make a purchase, I ask for their email for the receipt, and then they have a choice whether or not they want to subscribe to the newsletter. So I was able to make contact with the customer through email marketing. So during lockdown, I got better at it. I started to learn from it, because it was sort of, I did okay before, but it really evolved because I had more customers. So what I did was I focused on how to grow the customer email base of getting people to sign up And then I did about 3 emails a week. I didn't want to bother people too much, so I did maybe 1 to 3 emails a week.
Mm-hmm.
So I only email when I have something to talk about. If there's a new product or a new back in stock is very popular, focusing on certain skin issues, attaching a blog post to it, those things. So, that became really huge, especially during the second wave of lockdown.
Yeah.
That became huge. And that's what increased my curbside pickups, actually.
Oh, nice.
So that was major for me.
Yeah. What kind of things did you do to grow that list? Because I know it's one of the hardest things to do. Actually, I have a 2-part question for you. So first, when your store was able to be open, because there's going to be some people starting to open up, and I think this is a really tricky thing to get right. How do you ask somebody in store for their email in a way that feels good? I know I've been in a store before where they asked for my email and I'm like, I don't want to get 1,000 emails from you. I don't want to give you my email. How did you kind of approach those conversations when you were able to be open?
Well, basically when the customer, it's so funny, the K-beauty world is a fascinating area because customers want to keep connected. Because it's this conversation that's always going and comparing what works for you, what doesn't work for you. And everybody wants to compare ideas or know what products are good. That's why the YouTube channel is so popular within the K-beauty market. So most customers are more than happy to give you their email because they want to know when they can get discounts. They want to know about new brands coming in. They want to know about how to address certain skin issues. So if you keep it relevant to them. So basically when they would come in and I would say, I want to email the receipt. And also, we have like certain privileges that are offered to those that sign up for the email marketing. So they know they're going to get special deals. They get gifts, free gifts. So that it's we don't make a big deal of it. It's like you say yes or you say no, whatever. But we find that 95% will sign up, which is major. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think the important thing for the audience to hear from that is it all comes back around to knowing what your customers want. And you're saying it, you say, I know these customers want information and they want a dialogue and they want content and they want the sales. They want all of this. So you can tell them about the newsletter in a way that then it's very easy for them to say yes to because they're saying, that's exactly what I want. I think that's really important to start at that place of depending on your products, depending on your brand, what do your customers want out of you as an entrepreneur, as a brand? Create your email kind of call to action around that. And then that makes it a lot easier for them to say yes and not feel like they're just going to get blasted by a bunch of terrible emails.
Exactly. So, I mean, everything is customer driven. They tell you what they want. And it's basically listening to that. And that will inform your business for sure.
Yeah. So then, on the second lockdown and you decide to pivot and you put a lot of focus into email marketing, which does a fantastic thing for your sales number as well. How did you actually grow that list? What kind of tactics did you use to make sure you kept having more contacts?
Well, I actually developed, with the help of one of my nieces who's in PR, I developed, it's a Korean skincare guideline. So it goes through the skincare steps and it goes through skin types. And I think it's about 4 pages long. And so I basically posted it on social media and then promoted it. And basically, if you want access to this information, you would have to key in your email and then you can download this Korean skincare guide. It's not product-based. It's simply information about the 10 steps and skin types and skin issues. So it's a lot of information packed into 4 pages. And that helped because during the lockdown, I don't have people obviously coming in. So that's what I would do. But if you have something that's informative for customers that they're going to want, then you can sort of, have the access where they access it through giving their email. And that really works at any time, whether you're in lockdown or not. So it's providing them with relevant information, basically, in exchange for their email.
Oh, it's such a brilliant tactic because you're also giving them the content that they need to then make an informed purchase, that then they're more likely to like the purchase and then come back for more purchases. And now you've got them in this dialogue. It just kind of snowballs into even better customer relationships. And I think it's something that I think that you're just naturally so good at, is keeping engaged with your customers. What has kind of surprised you the most out of all of these kind of shifting back to digital, going social media and email? What surprised you about these experiences you've had this year?
Everything has surprised me in terms of, we're in the middle of a pandemic, but, it's so interesting as a business person, because it's like, it's really teaching you how to be an entrepreneur. It's really giving you these key lessons of all of these restrictions, and you cannot plan more than a week, 2 weeks ahead. Whereas before I used to plan months ahead. You can't do that anymore. So it really forces you to strip down fears and being willing to take risks, take chances, listen to the community that you're serving, and just going for things. But the customer is the one that informs me. So I feel like if you are willing to adapt and to listen, you will grow that loyalty. I've been impressed with how great the customer has been and how loyal they've been. And I'm just overwhelmed with the connections I've made with customers. It's just been an amazing, amazing experience. And I didn't expect that. I didn't know what to expect, but I didn't expect that during pandemic, because you're just thinking survival mode. Where now I'm not so much thinking survival mode. I'm thinking, how do I grow this? What's the next, how do I get to the next level? And it's just been an amazing experience, to be honest. Yeah. That's such a good take on it and I think that's why you are on the show, is because that is the heart of kind of the resiliency in the show. Is you were kind of thrown this terrible circumstances, and you were able to say, actually, I can see this as an opportunity to learn other pieces and other skills and do business in a different way. And you're doing fantastic, and your sales are continuing to go up and grow. It's just such a great story, and such an inspiration, I think, to see how you just kind of dove headfirst into new things and really started with a customer and made it work. And so I want to ask, when, we have no idea when this will be, but when everything fully reopens and we're allowed to have people back in the store, what are you most excited about? Well, we just reopened 2 weeks ago, which is great news. So I'm allowed one person in the store at a time. And it's been marvelous. And so I'm pivoting again, because people now want to come into the store physically. And so I've actually added, I'm about to add new staff. And I'm thinking about the summer in terms of, I'm only open 5 days a week right now, but starting in June until Labor Day weekend, we're going to be open 7 days a week.
Wow.
So I'm getting staff ready. Yeah, I'm getting staff ready and prepared for that. And I'm doing more activities on TikTok, which is still quite new for me, and more videos. And so it's exciting times, because it's like, okay, how do we pivot again to get more traction to the store? And you can only plan a couple of weeks at a time, because we have to listen out. They're talking about a third wave already here. So you have to keep that in the back of your mind. But so that's what we're I'm always looking for what's next. Yeah.
Yeah. Amazing. It's so exciting to hear. So last question, and the listeners know what this question is. Althea, what does resilience mean to you?
If I were to sum it up, I would say being able to adapt to what your customers want, being able to adapt to the market, being able to adapt to what's happening socially and economically. If you are always listening and being aware, and with every challenge that comes to you, don't see it as a restriction or a negative. Try and see how you can make it work for your situation. I know that entrepreneurs sell different things, and there's some where it really, truly was difficult depending on the space that you're in. But honestly, adaptability allows you to become creative, to see what is it that I can do. Even if you can't do it now, you can plan for the future of how you're going to get yourself out of that situation. So that's my takeaway to what resilience means.
I love it. Well, Althea, thank you so much for being on the show, and good luck with everything with Proper Lifestyle.
Thank you.
And hopefully one day I can come visit the store and we can do this in person.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you so much for having me. Much appreciated. I love your show.
Thank you.
Thank you.